Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm so happy to have you with me today. On today's video, we'll be talking about rules of writing. Okay, these are some rules, 7 rules actually, that everyone that intends to be an exceptional writer is supposed to know and follow. All right. Now, I'm not trying to kill your creativity as a writer. No, I'm not trying to do that. But I'm sharing these rules with you because these rules are universal. And if you know them and stick to them, okay, in your writing, you're going to produce a fantastic book. Okay. Now, without further ado, let's see rule number 1. Read, read, read. Okay. Now, I mean, I think I've said this like 100 times already. Reading is important. Okay. For anyone that wants to be a writer, it is very important for you to read. I cannot overemphasize that fact. Okay. And every reader is not a writer, but every writer should be a reader. Okay, when you read, you're better at your writing because you see what other writers are doing, the pattern they're following, how they're doing it. You get to learn from them. Okay, so reading is important to anyone that wants to be a good writer. Now, having said that, okay, as a writer, you should not read everything that you see or everything that comes to you. No, you should read works that excite you, that enlighten you, that entertain you, works that are in your niche. Okay, if you write about fitness, okay, then you should read works in fitness. If you write about travels and tours and nature stuff, you should read works in that niche. Okay, and also read works that are similar to what you plan to publish. Okay, now let's say you want to publish a work on finance, okay, money stuff. Then you should read at least one book, okay, about finance and money. If you want to write a horror novel, for example, read at least one horror book. Okay, so whatever you intend to write, okay, read something that is similar to that thing that you want to write about. Okay, so reading is important to writing, or reading is important for writing. Okay, now let's look at rule number 2. Now, most times when we write, okay, we sometimes feel like this thing should not be in this place or should not be in this book. We are not so sure about a particular phrase or sentence or paragraph in our book or in our work. Okay, so when you feel that doubt, then you should consider leaving that sentence out of your writing. Okay, so when you're not sure of a particular phrase or sentence or paragraph or chapter or line, do well to leave it out of your writing. Okay, your work should be free of words and phrases that serve no function or that continue to repeat what you already said before. Okay, all right. Now, the third rule of writing is show more, tell less. All right, show more and tell less. Now, many times when we write, okay, we tend to tell our stories rather than show them. Okay, now it is fine to tell your story. I'm not saying don't tell your story, but showing your story is more beautiful. And let me give you an example of what I mean by showing your story and telling your story. Now, if I say that Jane is a rude girl, or if I say something like Jane was rude to her parents, and I say something like Jane walked out on her parents while they were talking to her. Now, I'm saying the same thing, but two different ways. Right? The first sentence, Jane was rude to her parents, I was telling the story. But the second one, Jane got up and walked out, or Jane walked out of her parents. Okay, I was showing the story. And let me give you another example. Marianne was violent with her husband. Okay, and that is telling the story. Then Marianne got a knife and rushed towards her husband. All right, and that is showing the story. Okay, so when you show your story, you use actions and dialogues to give life to your words. Okay, but telling is more like narrating. Okay, so it's fine to narrate your story or to tell your story, but to make it more beautiful, more interesting, try to show. Okay, so show more and tell less. Okay, and let's look at the next rule. Write with passion. Okay, writing from the heart. Now, some people, some writers, they tend to put or consider the profitability of a niche, okay, when they want to write. They prefer to write about books or write on topics that they think are more profitable than others. Okay. Now it is okay for you to look at the money aspect of writing, that is fine, but do not put your interest or your passion below, then you put your profit on top. Okay. It is very good for you as a writer to write from your heart. When you write from your heart or when you write with passion, it makes the whole process of writing interesting, fun, and easy. Okay, and then you end up producing a book that is just excellent, and your readers are able to connect with you and what you wrote. Okay, but when you tend to put profit over passion, okay, you struggle with writing. All right, the words do not flow easily. You struggle with writing. The writing process is not interesting to you. It is difficult, and then you end up writing a book that is not, as good as it should have been. And the readers do not feel you when they read your book. They do not connect with you when they read your book. So write from your heart. Okay, consider your interest or your passion before the profitability of the work. Okay, I mean, when your readers tend to know you and love your work, and they see the passion you put into your writing, they will keep buying your book. They will keep reading your articles. They even recommend it to their friends. But when I buy today or I read your work today and then I don't flow, I don't connect with your work, I will not want to read your book again. And I will also not recommend my friends. Okay? So write with passion, write from your heart. Okay? The money is going to come. Of course, the money will come. Now let's look at the next rule of writing. No slangs or jargons. Okay, slangs and jargons are not easily understood by everyone. Okay, so you do not have to use slangs or jargon in your book. Now, slangs, for example, we know what slangs are. Slangs are never constant. Okay, they change. They are always changing with time, with style, even with location. I mean, the slangs that they use in Ghana is not the same thing that they use in South America. Okay, and slangs that they use in Nigeria is not what they use in South Africa. Alright? And even the slangs that you used or people in your area used like 10 years ago is not what they're using now. And it's not what they're going to use 10 years from now. So slangs are ever changing. Okay? So when you use slangs in your book, it's kind of date your book. Okay, make your book looks like, or make your work look like this thing was written like 10 years ago, and then maybe it's for people in that time because they will understand this thing better, because me, I don't understand what you're saying right here. Okay, and that is what using slang in your work can do. Okay, and jargon, as we all know, are used and easily understood by people in a particular profession. Okay, so you don't use jargons in your book. Now, unless if or except if your work has some form of peculiarities, okay, then you can use them. Like if your book is peculiar in some way, okay, some form, then you can use slangs or jargon in your book. Now let's say you're writing a fiction book, for example, and then you're writing a story talking about Mayfair lifestyle, ghetto lifestyle, and stuff like that. Okay, so if you use slangs in your book, it will bring out the originality of what you're trying to describe, and it will also make us know that okay, this book is about these people, okay, from this environment, and this is how they talk, this is how they do things. So we'll say okay, now that book is peculiar because it's explaining ghetto lifestyle and Mayfair stuff. All right. Or if you're writing a non-fiction book, for example, and then you're trying to write a book for lawyers or a book for journalists, for example, and then you use the jargon in the book. Now that is fine because that book is peculiar, okay, and then it is directed to your audience, which are journalists or lawyers, okay. Now these are examples of peculiar books that can include slangs or jargon, okay. But if you're writing a general book or a normal book, so to say, okay, you do not need to use slangs or jargon in your work. All right, I hope that is clear enough. Now the next rule is simplicity. All right, simplicity. Now as a writer, when you write something and then you put it out there, your reader should be able to understand what you're writing, okay. So your aim as a writer should be to deliver your message as clear as possible, okay. Now when you write your book, use simple and small vocabularies. Do not use huge vocabularies in your work. Simple ones, small ones that anybody can be able to understand, okay. Now the use of huge vocabularies does not mean that your work is excellent or your work is perfect or you are a very good writer. It does not mean any of such, okay. It just ends up confusing your reader. What does this word mean? Okay, then they have to go check it out in the dictionary. They read one page, they turn on dictionary like 5 times. No, use simple vocabularies in your book. Sorry, write in a clear, direct, and concise pattern. Simplicity is beautiful. Okay, yeah. So now the next rule of writing is the use of active or passive voice. Right? Now I know you already know what active or passive voice is, but let me just explain further. Now, when we say active voice, okay, it describes a sentence in which the subject carries out the action, right? Then passive voice describes a sentence in which the subject receives the action. Now, if I say the dog chased the man, right? Now the dog is the subject, okay, that carries out the action of chasing on the man. And if I say the man was chased by the dog, now the man has become the subject, and he receives the action of being chased by the dog. Okay. So the first sentence, the dog chased the man, is active voice. And the second one, the man was chased by the dog, is an example of passive voice. Okay. Now as a writer, at different times in your writing, you can choose to use active or passive voice. Okay. But active voices are preferable because they make your work more interesting and more beautiful. So you should use more of active voice. Okay. Now those are my 7 rules of writing. Okay, so they are really not difficult or stressful to understand and to adhere to. I'll share more rules in my subsequent videos. Okay, so for now, if you're new to this channel, please do well to subscribe to this channel and give this video a thumbs up. All right, so that more people can get to see it and learn what you just learned. Okay, so if you have a question, keep it, or do well to keep it in the comments. Okay, I will go through and then I will reply or respond to them. So for now, it is bye. I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.